What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear these names grouped together? Spencer Barton, Danny Way, Ryan Lay, Jim Bates, Mitchie Brusco, and Rodney Mullen. If your answer is that it's a bunch of white dudes who probably like eating yogurt for breakfast, you would be absolutely correct. But in addition, all of these guys have been noted to have set some type of skateboarding world record in one form or another. Skate or Die recently did the heavy lifting of researching almost all of these aforementioned names, like Spencer Barton, who loudly and proudly displayed his achievement for ollieing the farthest length in the world on flat at 17 feet through an exhaustingly edited 26-minute saga of the event. Danny Way has gobbled up the completely unrelatable mega ramp distance and height records. Mitchie Brusco applied his skydiving skills to vert, as well as the first 1260-degree spin in the air on a skateboard. Rodney Mullen is unofficially responsible for inventing the most flat ground tricks that almost anyone who pushes plywood today has since adopted. There is a particular record in skateboarding, however, and that is where the longest line comes into play. As Quarter Snacks so eloquently put in a 2013 listicle, the line has long been the backbone of street skateboarding video parts. PJ Ladd comes to mind as a frontrunner in formidable lines filled with the rare combo of style and technical proficiency. And the people's true president of skateboarding, Peter Granis, has since brought to light a collection of extensive line footy from street legends like The Boss, Costin, Jeremy Ray, Dill, Suchu, The Chief, Daywan, Ricky Oyola, and Tom Knox. It would be disrespectful to not mention Miles Silvas and his one-stop part, where he traversed over half a mile on Wilshire Boulevard in LA, and performed 22 consecutive tricks, ending on a tough gap-to-switchback tail back in 2018. Googling longest skateboarding line gives you some conflicting results, like a 4.5-minute chopped-up Braille edit of Aaron Cairo manualing a box, as well as a 2.5-minute street edit of multiple lines performed by Adriano Lakovsky from early 2017. But with only a little bit more digging, we find footage of Newbury Park, California legend Jim Bates. Jim Bates is an elusive character in the skateboarding world, but an important one nonetheless. Apart from allegedly performing multiple NBDs at the Hollywood High 12 stair, like kickflipping and tray flipping the set in 1998, Bates could very well be the single most consistent flat ground skater ever. Footage and detailed information in general is limited from this era, but back in the mid-2000s, when Costin still skated for S, him and the shoe brand held several high-stakes games of skate. Starting in 2003, that had large purse cash prizes from around 10 to 15K for the winner. Flat ground supermen that have since become icons in battle at the barracks, like Mike Moe, Costin, Nija P-Rod, Chris Cole, Jimmy Carlin, and PJ Ladd, competed in these S games of skate that preceded what is now the barracks' most successful and long-running competition. The barracks could actually learn a thing or two from how efficiently these S games of skate were ran, with 4 simultaneous prelim battles taking place in taped-off rectangles, at least from what can be seen in the 2005 version footage. Anyway, in 2005, the semifinals of the tournament found Jim Bates beating Eric Costin, the latter of whom was in his prime at the time. Bates exhibited solid, relentless offense, and while some egregious sliding is apparent, like on the nollie front 3 kickflip, the fast-paced game quickly ended with Bates beating Eric on a fakie inward heel. From there, the finals got whittled down to a 3-way championship game between Bates, Mike Moe, and Jimmy Carlin. Mike Moe got eliminated fairly early in the finals battle, leaving a nail-biting match between Bates and Carlin. The crowd was audibly a little less than enthused about some of the pivoting on some tricks, but Bates showed defensive merit via landing Carlin's half-cab inward heel flip. Jim ultimately beat Jimmy on a
nollie back 3 kickflip,
all the while holding a water bottle in his hand, and took home the $15,000 check. So what does Jim Bates and his game of skate win have to do with the longest line we were talking about earlier? Well, Mr. Bates's consistency with flip tricks translated to a few uploads on his own YouTube channel that had world record in the title. The most recent upload on that subject is a 10.5-minute video depicting 58 consecutive tricks, mostly comprised of flip tricks. Say what you want about lack of pop or speed, but unless there's another video out there that proves otherwise, Jim Bates could very well be the current record holder for most unique flip tricks landed back-to-back, and this includes maneuvers in all 4 stances and full 360 body rotations as part of the depicted line. When it comes to the overall record of most back-to-back tricks performed in one take, evidence suggests Ryan Lay is the head honcho. Ryan Lay has a substantially large body of work via street footage that's been released over the course of more than a decade. In 2018, Lay landed 102 consecutive tricks in Tempe, Arizona's Mitchell Skate Park, which is what I would roughly estimate to be about a 3,600 square foot slab of cement with 3 low-impact obstacles, including a round flat bar, 6-inch tall mani pad with a square rail on the side, and a bench-like ledge that has a curved side and a straight side. Thankfully, the editing team over at CCS did much of the heavy lifting by labeling all 102 tricks. And because of the uninterrupted single take of the line, we can visually certify that this is a single line with no breaks. We can also see that Ryan made an honest effort at diversifying his stance portfolio, which was understandably regular dominant at 40%, but nearly 30% of the tricks were switch, about a quarter were nollie, and fakie was a little under 8%. Over 86% of the line was either a slide or grind trick, and Lay damn near split that distribution evenly with 49% slides and 51% grinds. 18 50-50 variations took place in the 102 trick line, leading the overall base trick type breakdown. The straight side of the ledge was given the most attention, with over 41% of all tricks being applied to that obstacle. Ryan landed a trick on average every 9 seconds, and the shortest time between 2 tricks is right in the beginning where Lay nollie flips on trick 3 merely 2 seconds after the backside blunt on the ledge. Unlike Jim Bates and his flip trick heavy line, Ryan played it safe, only flipping his board twice. Once for the aforementioned nollie flip, and towards the end on trick 92 with a switch flip, which, sadly, after review of the heel touch, would disqualify every trick after this. The longest time Lay took between 2 tricks was 24 seconds, between trick 78 and 79, where he landed a nollie back nose on the sea ledge, then did a whole lap around the park, bending over from fatigue while rolling, before proceeding to land a back 50 front 1 on the flat bar. Ryan pushes 230 times in the line, averaging just over 2 pushes between each trick. Lay pushed 70 times with his right foot and 39 times with his left foot, and pushed with one foot exclusively between tricks 97% of the time, and was able to avoid the taboo Mongo push even when switch. The most pushes between 2 tricks was 6 right leg pushes, leading into the previously covered back grind front 1 on the flat bar, which was also the longest time between 2 tricks. There were 3 instances where Ryan pushed with a combination of left, right, or vice versa. First, when he pushed 3 times right and 1 time left, leading into trick 83, where he did a switch front 50 on the sea ledge. This trick also succeeded a scream of surprise that likely came directly from Lay, although it's not entirely certain given the lack of visibility from the camera angle, but Ted Barrow's narration on the Transworld channel of the same line suggests he believes it was indeed Ryan Lay who hooted and hollered.
I too would have hooted and hollered like he just did if I'd landed that.
Right after the switch front grind, Ryan pushed twice left and twice right before trick 84, a nollie tailslide to fakie. Trick 90 was the 3rd instance of a double leg combo push featuring 1 left and 2 right before the back nose slide popover on the square rail onto the mani pad. Ryan drank water twice in the line, first between trick 35 and 36, and again between 74 and 75. Trick repetition does take place in this marathon line, with 12 tricks repeated twice, and 2 tricks repeated thrice. The nollie backside nose slide was done 3 times, first on trick 17, then 57, and again on 78. The backside 50-50 frontside 180 was also done 3 times, first on trick 21, then 50, and once again on 79. There were 2 instances of complete repetition, meaning Lay did the same trick on the same obstacle more than once. First was the switch frontside lip slide on the flat bar on trick 33, and then again on trick 86. The second instance of complete repetition was a switchback tail on the straight side of the bench, first on trick 54, and again on trick 76. So, what was the hardest trick? One approach could be to simply take the trick with the most characters used, assuming that the longer it takes to describe a trick translates to difficulty. Using that approach, we would find that the switch backside crooked grind frontside 180 on trick 80 would win with 30 characters needed to be defined and making it the hardest. Or maybe it was the first trick of the entire line via the nollie front 1, 5-0, front 1 out. That was the hardest. Or maybe one of the blunt slide variations. Or maybe Ted Barrow's opinion indicates the no slide popover should be considered the hardest trick.
89. That is a whopper. That was incredible. Honestly, that might have been the best trick I saw, that no slide popover as trick number 90.
Whatever the true hardest trick is, it's safe to say that Jeff DeCesare...
And for the first time in my freaking life, dude, he's the only skate YouTuber that has, like, recognized me forever and ever. There's been these, like, ranking skate YouTubers. You could look at them all over. I never made the cut. I don't make the cut.